one way to protect your DNS server is actually to enable DNSSec. And that's going to enable you to sign your zone using an encryption key so that you now have an encryption key so that you can exchange your keys with other DNS servers and you can actually have a more secure DNS setup. So we're going to enable DNSSec. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to hop over to root temporarily. And then I need to go into my bind directory for my configuration files. So I'm going to edit named.conf.options, and we're going to take a look at the DNSSec settings here. The first thing you need to do is enable DNSSec. So DNSSec-enable, yes. And then we're going to turn on validation. So DNSSec-validation, yes. DNSSec look-aside, we are going to set to auto. So we need to turn all of those on in order to enable DNSSec. Now, the other thing that we need to do here is to create some keys. So I'm going to go into my zones directory here where my one zone file is. And those are some spare keys from some playing I was doing earlier. So let's just start over here with some fresh keys. So we're going to say DNSSec-keygen, and then we need to use NSEC3, and RSA is going to be our algorithm. SHA-1 is going to be our hashing algorithm for validation. We're going to use 2048 as our number of bits. This is going to be a zone file. And then we're going to say mydomain.com because that's our domain. So I actually installed HaveGED, which enables us to generate these keys much faster. Otherwise, it would be a very, very slow process. So now that I've got my zone signing key, I need to create a key signing key. So we're going to say DNSSec-keygen again. And I need to do, first of all, -F is going to be a key signing key. And then we're going to again use NSEC3, RSA, SHA-1. In this case, we're going to do 4096 is the number of bits that we are using. And then what we need to do is say, again, -N zone, mydomain.com. Now we've created another set of keys. So now we need to include these keys into our zone file. So we're going to say for k in ls k mydomain.com *.key. What this is going to do is it's going to populate the variable k with the output from ls and then kmydomain.com *.key. So we're going to get a couple of keys here. And then with that, we are going to echo. And we're going to say $include. So we're escaping the $sign here because we want it to say $include. And then we're going to say $k. That's going to be our variable. So what it's going to do is it's going to say $include and then the file name that we get out of the ls. So now I want to dump that into db.mydomain.com. And then we're done. So now I can cat db.mydomain.com, and you can see the two lines at the bottom, $include, and then we've got the key. So now we're going to sign the zone. So I'm going to say DNSSec-sign zone. Now I need to include a salt. Now normally you would use a random number here. In this case, just for simplicity, I'm going to use these numbers. So I need 16 characters here. There are a number of ways you could generate random numbers and get 16 characters out of it. As I said, just for simplicity's sake, I am using just these 16 numbers. So -O is going to be my zone name, which is mydomain.com. And then my zone file name is going to be db.mydomain.com. So now we've got our signed zone here. We need to go into another configuration file and say named.conf.local. this is where we have created the zone mydomain.com, and I've got my file, and what I need to do is append .signed onto the end of this because I now have a signed file in my zone directory. So you can see I've got db.mydomain.com and then db.mydomain.com.sign. I'm going to restart the bind service. So now all I have to do is say dig at 127.0.0.1, which is my local host. So I'm going to be talking to my DNS server here. And then I'm going to say DNS key and then mydomain.com. We'll do plus multi-line here. So now you can see these are the keys that are associated with the domain mydomain.com. So I've got my DNS keys associated here, and I can use those keys to offer better security to my DNS server and its communication with other systems.